Here we go.
Should be going live now.
Yeah, looks like it being live streamed.
Mm.
Just wait for the little pictures.
Mm.
Welcome everybody to our live. We have Jean Atman with us on today. Hoping this is working. All that good technology we were just talking about.
That's right.
So welcome, Jean. We're really excited to have you on with us today and talking about being overwhelmed and exhausted. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I've been noticing, and thanks for having me back. I always appreciate connecting with you ladies.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I've been noticing a lot just personally and with kind of the pulse on the collective, there is a lot happening right now, cosmically, energetically, consciously. And I'm just witnessing how it's showing up in a lot of people. And so people might be experiencing a lot of overwhelm. I mean, granted, it's the holiday season, so that in itself can present a little bit of energetic chaos and a lot of stimuli happening. But it feels like we're entering into something much deeper right now. And what I've been noticing is a lot of the old programs that we were sort of trained since, you know, childhood, a lot of us are having the opportunity to look at those again to see if they still fit. And I think there's so much right now that we're being asked to drop off and really come back into who we are authentically versus how we've been living in the programs we've been living in. And when we listen to the body, it really helps us to recognize when something doesn't feel good. And so things will get a little bit louder, life will get a little bit more uncomfortable until we really start paying attention within. And that is really kind of our indicator light that we're ready for changes, which is good. It's not comfortable to walk through that stuff, but it actually is really, it's a good sign that you're ready for something more, something better. So we're going through a big transition right now, which can feel pretty exhausting and overwhelming. But if you know kind of what's happening, then you can better understand how to work with the energy to ride the wave as opposed to being tumbled underneath it and come out on the other side, unscathed and just feeling much, much better. So that's kind of it in a nutshell of what I've been noticing.
yeah, I've been noticing a lot of people, it's seemingly overwhelming, a lot of conflict, it seems like, and chaos, just in general, in the whole kind of everybody you bump into seems to be dealing with some kind of obstacle, and I think some of it is definitely does create that overwhelming feeling of, how do I get out of this? How do I make this an easier transition to fumble through?
I think
Yeah, yeah.
too,
And oh, go ahead.
I think too, at Christmas is also a time when people are overwhelmed. So it's a good time for you to be on here and discussing this with us. So yeah, back to you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's an interesting time because we can sometimes almost confuse with what's really going on, or it's kind of easy for us to say, oh, it's just because it's the holidays. But we're really being asked to look a little bit deeper right now, too, with that is just sort of the catalyst or another compounded element to come in to say, how uncomfortable do you want to get right now? You know? So not only the holiday stressors that can come with, big holidays, but there's just something deeper. It's almost kind of coming through as um, I don't know, just a deeper resonance within. I'm kind of encouraging people to really listen a little bit deeper to see what their needs are right now. And especially this time of year, we can really tend to look outward at what other people want, what other people need, and we really can lose ourselves in this process. And we're coming into an energy now where we can't really do that as easily anymore. If we try to do that, we sort of get course corrected a lot more frequently now. Are you guys experiencing any of that? Have you witnessed?
Mom?
Oh, definitely. It's been time this last while, especially with the retrograde we went through. It's been definitely a time for course correcting. And that's good thing about it though is identifying what you need to correct and change.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, and it can sometimes feel I don't know, if we can really tune in and identify what we are feeling challenged with, we can better understand what is asking for us within. So, yeah, it's it's certainly an interesting time that we're in, but I think we're really being asked to really come deeper, more into beyond our people pleasing, beyond our overachieving, beyond the perfectionism. All of those were defense mechanisms that many of us applied, early on in life just to survive if we grew up with trauma and things like that. And so we might find that we're still kind of applying those old mechanisms, and there's really no room for them in where we are and where we're going. So there's really this energy of scaling back and shedding. And in fact, 2025 is the year of the water snake, right? And so you think about what snakes do. They shed their skin, they release the old, and they are fresh and bright and new when they shed. So this is that the year's energy has really been asking us to shed our old layers. And water, the element of water is very emotional. So 2025 may have been a really emotional year, and being, sort of poked and triggered into what don't you want to manage anymore, whether that be someone else's feelings or your own stuff or jobs or relationships that aren't really feeling aligned. All of that we've really been working um, to sort of offload.
Mhm.
It's really are so supported within that action of doing that.
Yeah, I've definitely felt probably, I would say in the last 3 months, anyways, of this year, very much that it's been emotional. It's been very chaotic. It's been very looking at different things like what serves me, what doesn't serve me, where do I want to change, how do I change it, and just so many emotions through it. Like, I'm just like, I used to be really emotional as a kid, and then I kind of evened out, and now it's just like I'm like, am I hormonal or what is going on? Is there something in the air? Because I just it does feel very, very overwhelming trying to shed all these layers like you were mentioning. So,
Mhm.
and we do have one person watching, so just if ever anybody does have questions, we do want you to ask them. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love questions. Give me all the good stuff. Yeah, it's really interesting. I've been doing a lot of nervous system research lately because I've been in the healing arts for 25 years, but most of my work has been emotional health, mental health, spiritual health, energetic health. And I'm really getting into more of the embodiment of everything, kind of anchoring the wisdom in. And I'm realizing those of us that have come into these lives as sensitive souls, as empaths, all, that we feel everything, and because we can feel it, we think it's our responsibility to fix it or manage it in some way. And I don't know if you're shaking your head. I'm assuming you know quite well what I'm talking about. But when you go through all of that and you're learning what is yours, what's not to manage, and all of a sudden you start to sort of clear away or offer yourself a bit more space, it's amazing how the nervous system starts to get so excited and respond to that piece of not needing to carry so many burdens. And I've really been looking through the lens of what does my nervous system want right now? Because we can listen. As an entrepreneur, you listen. I have this to do, that to do. I have a laundry list of checklists, right? But when you tune into that sort of inner child or that nervous system, what do you really want to do? I'm finding I want none of that. I want to do none of that. I want to curl up with a nice blanket and a cup of tea and watch a Christmas movie. And it's like just really starting to listen to what we want beyond what's expected of us or how we thought we were expected to show up. Those are the things that we're really being asked right now, to show up for ourselves in much deeper ways.
so how do we manage between, because I mean, whether we want to or not, we do have a list of responsibilities that we do have to get to. So how do we honor ourselves and our systems and then still honor some of these responsibilities that we have to do in life.
Yeah, and so I mean, for me personally, I check in to see how much of this do I actually have to hold responsibility for, and how much do I just think was mine to be responsible for. So it's asking those hard questions because sometimes as a mom, we think we need to do all these things, but when you take a step back, you think, oh, actually, my child is no longer 2, she's 18. She's probably a lot more self-sufficient than how I've been operating, you know? And so you start to really see the truth about how much do I actually need to do versus how much can I just hand over and trust that those people will also be good to handle their own stuff. Things that are our responsibility to do, I say set a timer or give yourself, I'm going to accomplish these 3 things today versus the 20, and then the one more thing, one more thing, one more thing until it's, 2 o'clock in the morning and you're exhausted. But just setting some healthy boundaries around things for yourself. And what I find too is the more I simplify what I need to do each day, the more I have energy to do those things really well. And then the other things that I thought were important, I'm realizing that's not really that important. Like for instance, do I need to mop my floors every day? Probably not. You know, do I need to mop them? And now it's been 3. I'm like, yes, it's been 3 weeks. Like you have to mop your floor. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of dropping off the perfectionism and saying, what is more of a priority? Is my downtime a priority, or is the cat fur ball that's rolling across the floor the priority right now? And it's really putting things in a different perspective of what really matters, because it's so easy for us, I think, to just not prioritize ourselves, our self-care, and focus on all these other things. And the more I'm studying nervous system regulation, I'm realizing that we get kind of caught in that freeze mode or that survival stress where we don't really even understand we can do something different or be something different. We just know how to survive within the chaos. And so our systems automatically start to draw in that chaos and align with chaos just because that's the only place we've been comfortable. So when you give yourself a little chance to kind of take a couple steps back and say, what's really important, all of a sudden it's like your whole world, this inverted world, starts to turn upright and you just see things very differently. So it's really just giving yourself some space to see, what do I really need? What's really important? And if you're honest with yourself, it's your to-do list is probably a lot less than what you think it is.
True. That's very true. I find too that saying to yourself, or I try to say this to myself recently, is allow me to have the freedom to feel the way I'm supposed to feel, to be the person I really am. Allow me to have that freedom of thought and action, that makes me feel the true me. And I say that often to myself these last days because I find that so many people expect so much of you sometimes, and you just have to allow yourself to say, cut all that. It's going to do whatever I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. And it makes me feel good when I do it.
How have you found getting in touch with how you really want to feel? What have you found there when you tune in there?
It's interesting because I've even gone as far as to what clothes I wear now, which what I really want to wear, that type of thing. It's really interesting because back in the day I was sort of like a hippie, and I don't get me wrong with that. I used like the long skirts and the things like that, and I have been wearing them, and now I'm starting to go back to it where I think that I felt so alive and free then,
Mm,
and so I welcome it back to because that's when I felt, the kids were younger and we did things together and it was just more joyful. And so I'm inviting that back in. So
mm.
that's just one thing that I'm finding, might have to change a wardrobe here. That could get pricey, but it's the same kind of fun.
Yes, and I love that word that you used, inviting. That's what I'm inviting, and you're recognizing this feels good and you're giving yourself more space to do it and you're inviting in more things that bring you joy. And that's exactly it. And you bring up such a beautiful point because the old version of healing, like the old dimensional reality, had to be you got to go in, you got to go into all the shadow work. You got to do work hard. You got to, the cry, all things. And it's like, that's not really what's needed anymore. What's needed is what brings me joy. Do that thing. It's so much more simple now. If we less focus less on all the things that are broken or not working, and we just decide we want to feel good, let's just do that thing,
Really.
you know?
I can definitely relate to that because that is something that I journal about quite a lot is like I feel like there was this joy in my life and I lost it. And it's like, how do I bring that back? How do I create this joyful life that I want to live? And, all the things that that encompasses. And yeah, some of it is getting rid of that stuff that really isn't that important in life anymore and doing more of the things that are important, like being around people and getting out and doing some different fun things. And like you said, Mom, there, totally dressing different and just, feeling more alive. So I love that we're talking about this because I think
Mm.
it's needed right now.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you're exploring what brings you joy, I know for a long time I was like, I don't even know what brings me joy. I feel so far removed from joy. All I know is responsibility, determination, sweat, grit, all the things. And I thought joy is so foreign to me, and it's been kind of a fun exploration. How have you found that your kind of path back to joy or back to more joy? What have you found that how do you find it, I guess?
Well, I am still a little bit searching for that question, but what I'm looking at is what brought me joy in the past.
Hmm.
Does it still bring me joy? Because there is things in the past that I did, when I was younger and you went out dancing and things like that. Not really where I want to live my life at the moment, but what other things was it just being around people? Yes. So trying to really, for me right now, I'm really trying to break down what actually brings me joy. And yeah, how do I do it? How do I make space in,
Mm.
work and all these other responsibilities? But I loved what you said, and so I'm totally going to do that. How about you, Mom? How do you find your joy?
Not find my joy is not trying to live up to the expectations of others.
Mm.
I find that, there's so many expectations of others, and, it doesn't matter if you're a little one or if you're more mature like me, the expectations come with different ages as well. And, so trying not to live up to those expectations and I find myself doing this a lot, whatever. It doesn't, and when I say that to myself, whatever, doesn't matter anyways, and laugh at myself. There's the thing, laughing at myself to allow myself to get that little chuckle out of something I've done that, what the heck did I do that for? Oh, well, it just doesn't matter anymore, right? So that's what I find. I'm doing a little bit more of that.
I love that. I feel like the more we can laugh at ourselves and even looking for those situations where we can, because they're plentiful being a human. They are plentiful. And, and if we can just, acknowledge that. And I think it's such an important piece when we start to really drop off any of those old perfectionism patterns. Like those are just defense mechanisms. And I think so many times we forget that we once needed them and they served us so beautifully, but we probably don't need them anymore. We've cultivated a life where we're not needing those things. And even just recognizing, oh, I'm being my perfectionistic self right now. Do I need to still run that program? Because it's not us. Even though we've inhabited that for a long time, it doesn't mean it's us. And we can choose to flip that switch on or off and say, we don't want to be that today. We're just going to give ourselves a break and go for a walk outside instead and just really listen to what our hearts want and the type of
Mm.
experience we want there. And it seems like life is so much more simple and the universe is always so simple. And, it could be something simple as like this conversation. This is a beautiful way to spend a Friday afternoon chatting, touch base, connecting. It's like such a lovely way to spend time versus all the other crazy things that we can kind of get in our heads about so often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I find too, with it being this time of the year, like, like you go into cooking and baking and things like that. And you say to yourself, I said to myself this year, okay, am I doing it because that's what I should do? Or am I
Mhm.
going to do it because I feel like doing it? It makes me feel good. Or do I have a possibility of me maybe feeling mixed feelings about it? Like, doing a little bit more of me. Like, do I have to bake and cook and do those things because that's expected of me? Or can I just go and buy it and bring it to the party? Because that's what I want to do right now. So I
Yeah.
find that too. I'm really going through that with myself. Like, I really want to do? Like, what makes me happy?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, just from like an energetic standpoint, I love that you're playing with that so much because it's so important when we're finding more about ourselves and what we like is to check in like that, you know? And I've noticed that if there's any resistance to something, if you're feeling like, oh, I should, because they always say don't should all over yourself, right? I should do this. You're like, oh, I just don't want to. Like you can feel that inner child going, I just don't want to. That's a no. That's a heck no then. And it's like, okay, well, what would feel better? I just want to go buy something. Okay, let's do that. It's okay. Let's just do that then. And responding in those ways from what we feel and what we think and how we act, if those three things are in alignment, that sets us up for a happy life. But it's that conflict of, well, we should, but we don't want to, but we're going to anyways because somebody expects us. That's where we get our misalignment, and that's where life doesn't work as well. But when we stay in our alignment, how we think, how we feel, what we do is all in the same place. Life starts to work around that, and we find a lot more ease, a lot more opportunities for joy just because we're listening.
Yeah. And I love that because it seems right now, like I just know right now, more so in my work, like my corporate job work, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of uneasiness and things like that. And so you're walking into that situation. So when I'm going to work in the morning, like I always have my m- morning meditation where I kind of ground down and protect myself and do those things to sort of start my day on a good space. And then I try to walk in, and sometimes I'll say to people, like, let's just smile through it, or let's just, not to make light of the situation, but sort of, because
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much heaviness that you kind of get trapped underneath that. And then that heaviness and then everybody else's heaviness just kind of pulls you down. So it's like, let's try to bring some light, a little bit of fun, a little bit of where we can.
Yes, I agree. In fact, I was kind of tapping into that same thing of negativity lately with people that I encounter and recognizing how suffocating that can feel with negativity. And especially people that are energetically, emotionally sensitive, we feel that stuff. People don't even need to say anything. We're like, oh man, that's heavy in here. And how do we feel okay? Because I mean, we could hermit the rest of our lives. That's a possibility. But if you want to be out in the land of the living, we really need to focus on how can we still be okay in the midst of everybody else's negativity? And I don't know if you've experienced this, but like the old version of me used to go in and try to fix and uplift and bring everybody up and do all the things. And we're caring. All these people were like, this one's okay for now. We're gonna go over here and manage this. And it's just exhausting
Lost.
just trying to keep people at a baseline. And I thought, I don't want to do that anymore. So then knowing that I can feel everything, what do I need to do instead? And so even just checking in with the borders of my own energy, am I drinking this stuff in? Do I want to be? And instead activating the center of my field. So you could tap into your heart space and say, I just want to feel really centered in my heart. And I'm just going to let that energy fill the space that's around me. And you start to set some energetic boundaries with what you want to feel, even in the midst of chaos. Because especially as we're going into the holidays, we're around a bunch of people that we may or may not really want to be there with, it can be a little intimidating and we can tend to shut down our fields out of protection.
Mhm.
But we're in a place now where it's getting harder and harder to close our fields. We want to feel like ourselves. We want to feel authentic and open and loving and all the things. And so in order to do that, we just need to claim more of who we are authentically, because our authenticity is our energetic shield. It's when we go into people pleasing and fixing and all the things that fractures our natural energy and actually weakens us. And then we get more disturbed by outer energies. But when we are just like, we're claiming our space, we're going to be happy and joyful and light, and whatever you've got going on over there, I love you through it, but from maybe a distance, you know, and just let people, and like Mel Robbins' book, let them, practicing that right now is so good because it reminds us not to take that stuff on, even unconsciously.
Yeah, yeah. So would you say that procrastination is a sign too? Like I know procrastination it could be two different levels, but if you're procrastinating at something because you're expected to do it and you're procrastinating, would you say that's a sign of your body telling you, no, you don't need that anymore?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because that's to me is it's two things. One of two things come up. It's either resistance to the doing it in general. And so then I would ask that question, okay, am I procrastinating because I don't want to? And if you're honest with yourself, you might get a, yeah, I just don't want to. Oh, okay. You know, or is it a freeze response for something that's going to bring you into a state of being that you're just not sure about, being able to manage there? Like if you're procrastinating, starting a new business or something like that. So it depends on where you're going, but that's the point where I would just go in and ask questions. Is it
Yeah.
something that you want to do? And if it's like, yeah, I really do, but I'm scared, of growing, okay, that's something to manage. Or no, I just really don't want to do that. Okay, we don't have to, and it could be an easy fix. But that's a great, great indicator to check in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I love that book too, the Let Them book. I just find it's so realistic, and I love, then you allow yourself, because I love the second part, which is all about let me do the things, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's important. And I think, like, with these holidays and things like that, I think it's important for people to know when they're tapping into their energy, if they really don't want to be somewhere. And this is my big struggle, because sometimes my husband will say to me, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, we have to. And I'm like, oh, wait, no. Mm-mm. If you really don't want to do it, perhaps I'll go by myself if I want to. And
Yeah.
I'm going to honor what your feelings are, because not always do we all have the same wants and needs as each other, right? So
Mm.
I think as the holidays are here, it's okay to say no to things that you're invited to, or doing stuff, because if it doesn't align with who you are, I think that's where we need to, that would probably help with some of this overwhelm.
It absolutely would. And I think, overwhelm really stems from doing things that don't feel aligned because we can manage everything that we're meant to do. But it's when those things, and if you think about it, just the energy of it, if you have resistance to doing something, you're locking up that energy, and then this thing is coming in, and that's where the overwhelm is, because you're focusing on something that isn't aligning with you, you know? And the other thing is this time of year, I mean, especially in, our country and our continent, it's cold. It's a kind of like reclusive time. It's an inward journey right now. When you're cold, it's like you're meant to go in. This is a time to really connect with your guides. And when you connect with guides, it's almost like you need the stillness, you need the quiet, you need the peace, you need the solitude, all of those things. But running around and all the parties and everything else is not really the natural way of this time of year. So if you're not feeling aligned, there's something behind that and underneath that that's saying, oh, I just want to connect here. I don't want to connect all over there. So the people that feel really aligned and really nourishing to you, you might be like, oh, I want to lean into that. That feels really good there. But a big corporate party, you might be like, oh, I'll have to recover from that one. We don't want to go into recovery after an event, for their energy. So yeah, I love that. It's like really focusing on how things make you feel and then saying yes or saying no. And the other thing I learned too, because I was a massive people pleaser for a long time, and I was so nervous about saying no to anybody to hurt their feelings or whatever that was. But I also come from a deep place of integrity where I'm not going to lie. So it left me in a really interesting place because I don't know what to say now. I thought, yes, you do. Just say how you feel. Just say what you need. I would love to come. Thank you so much for the invitation, but I'm just really feeling like I need some downtime tonight. But I'll catch you next year. No guilt, no explanation, just speaking what you need. And we don't need to have all the validation and the excuses and all the whys to make sure that we're pacifying their feelings because we're not showing up at their event. It's okay just to say, I just need some me time tonight. And the more I learned to do that, the more I recognized my friends are saying, oh my gosh, me too. This works so much better for me because I had blah, blah, blah. Or everybody just starts to learn how to do that. And we all just are learning to honor ourselves in new ways. So this
Yeah.
is a great time of year to practice if you feel inclined to do that. Only you listeners know when you're ready
I
to
love
say,
that.
oh, that feels really awesome and empowering, or that is terrifying.
Probably a bit of both, but I
Yeah.
love that because I think that that is like I know both mom and I are or have been people pleasers, and it's hard to say no to people. It's like, no, I don't want to hurt you. Exactly what you said. I don't want to hurt your feelings, right? So I just love that, and I love this practice of really listening to your bodies because I'm a true believer in our bodies speak to us so strongly, whether it's, us getting sick or us, whatever it is. And when you
Yeah.
ask yourself those questions, your body is going to react in a way of like, nope, that kind of makes me feel nauseous. No, I probably shouldn't be doing that.
True. Yeah, any visceral reaction like that, especially big ones, are pretty clear. And then the thing is, I think what stunts people from checking in is because once they know the truth, you can't unsee the truth, and then you sort of need to respond to it. You know? And it's like, okay, are we ready to respond to that truth? And I think we psych ourselves up so much in our minds, thinking that we can't do that, we can't possibly, or we're just not practiced at it yet. So even thinking about we don't need perfection right now, it's just practice. And it might
Right.
be really messy. And you might think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. That's okay. Expect that, and be like, okay, well, the first time out of the gate, it's going to be a hot mess and that's okay. And the next time it'll be better. And before you know it, I'll be a master at that as well.
I find too lately what I've been doing is if somebody gives me or speaking to me and they're telling me, well, you should do this, right? And
Mm.
you're looking at them and you're going, in the past, I would have said, oh, really? Now I go, would you do it?
I love this.
And
I
when they
love
say
this.
to me, yes, I would, I say, I don't think you would. Because you know that person too, right? But they're giving you what they think you should do. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to. Would you do that? I don't think so. you know?
Yeah, it's very easy to point fingers, but then yeah, when you just take it back on, it's like, ooh, that actually doesn't feel that good. Thanks, but no thanks. I have a good friend of mine from Canada, and we joke all the time for things that, she gets asked to do something, and she'll just say, "Oh, no, thank you." You should do this. Oh, no, thank you. And that's all. Say nothing else needed to be said.
And
So,
I find that we often feel like no can't be just like we can't just say no to people. Like it, and no is a full sentence. Like I don't have to, I mean, you can explain yourself if you want, but you don't
mhm,
have to explain yourself of why, Yes,
mhm.
if that person you
Exactly.
think you're going to offend them, maybe you could be gentle and just say, no, sorry. It's sort of like you said there, like, no, sorry, I just need some downtime. Sometimes
Mhm.
that frees people up too to be able to say, oh, good, I did, like you said, I don't really want to do that anyways.
Yeah, yeah. I think we tend to, especially as people pleasers, another mechanism that we tend to use is the validating our worth or validating our presence or our right to be here. So we don't want to offend anybody because we don't even feel like we have a space here. And this is also part of kind of the unlearning of that and reclaiming we have a right to be here. We have a right to have needs. We have a right to speak those needs and act upon those needs. And everything that was attached to those old programs, it just starts to unravel when you remember, I do have a right to be here, and I can say no without having to prove my value or worth or, all of those things. We tend to make so many excuses or make sure somebody understands us. And it's like, whoo, that's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. So what if we just said no because we don't want to? Love you, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
It can really be that simple. And giving ourselves permission to be in that simplification of that without needing to validate or justify ourselves, it really can help to keep our own nervous systems and energy settled and less unraveling and stretching it out to make sure that everybody else is pacified. It's really about turning the energy back in and holding it there because that's how we create abundance. That's how we create peace. That's how we draw in healthier relationships. When we are in our own energy and not stretched thin, that's where all the good stuff comes
Mhm.
because we're here and present with it. So it's a great practice.
Yeah,
It
very
is.
much.
Do you think there's any practices that you could offer to people that they could do for themselves to help them kind of get centered, get into this, regulating their nervous system and being able to, I guess, have the courage to say no?
Yeah, so really, breath and functional breath is so good. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, yeah, breathe, breathe, breathe. But it's these simple things really are key. They hold the keys to everything. And I mean, for years, I would only breathe in my chest. I would breathe really shallow. I couldn't feel like I couldn't take a really deep belly breath. And so, even just functionally throughout your day, checking in with your nervous system, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling stressed and you're only able to breathe in your chest, just having awareness around what your breath is doing is huge because when you're not breathing, you're like, okay, I'm in a higher stress state. And this might be a very normal, natural, familiar state for a lot of people. So just having awareness, I'm here and I don't have to be here. So
Right.
can I just and I feel almost like if we like how the energy shows is just like a sinking in kind of feeling. Like, can I just draw my energy in and be present? So just think about presence of just, bringing yourself back into your head, your heart, whatever your body, and then see if you can just deepen the breath for a couple breaths. And when you do that and breathing through your nose, inhale and exhale through the nose. Whenever we breathe through our mouth, it kind of puts us into more of a heightened state. If we can slowly breathe in through the nose and breathe back out through the nose, the body kind of regulates and registers that we're safe. And so the more we can just practice that, the more everything else can start to unravel. And again, the old ways of being are I have to fix all these broken things. And this new way is I'm claiming soothing in my nervous system. Therefore, that's automatically going to make me feel safer within my body, which therefore is going to invite me into, better feeling situations, different things I'd like to try, different opportunities that I've been too afraid to do because I'm in a stressed state. The more comfortable we are, the more life, it's like we feel more safe and social. So we open to more opportunities that way. So literally, even recognizing you're in a stressed state and changing the breath regulates your blood pressure, your heart rate. So many systems follow the breath. And literally having that one focus changes so many things across the board.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I struggle with high blood pressure sometimes, and so if I get anxious or something like that, and I can always tell because it does help happen with my breathing. And yeah, I've noticed that if I sit down and what you're saying is just concentrate on my breathing for a few things, and then I retake my blood pressure, it's already come down
Mhm.
substantially. So I find it's very interesting that, we have this power within ourselves to heal ourselves that way and to,
Mhm.
really regulate yourself. So I just wanted to share that just more as it really happens.
Yeah, that data is so good when you can see the numbers and you have that validation. It's not only I feel better, but it's like, oh, I see that data right there.
Yeah.
And this is legit. This
And like,
happened.
how many times do we go through our days? Because I know for myself, anyways, I'll go through my days and then all of a sudden I'll find myself I'm like, how long was I not breathing for? Or breathing so shallow that I'm truly not, no wonder my body's going into stress and I can't handle what's happening around me.
Hmm. It's so true. And it's so natural that we don't realize or remember that there could be another way to do things, you know? But when you can train yourself to gently catch yourself when you're in that space and remember to take those breaths. And that's why I say it's so important to practice one thing at a time because we are chronically in overwhelm anyways, especially if our nervous system is dysregulated. And so if you can hold one focus, you know, and I love the mantra, I have everything I need. So even just
Mm,
feel this for a second. I have everything I need. And what happens in your nervous system? I have everything I need. And when you feel into that, all of a sudden, like for me, my shoulders drop, my breath automatically deepens. I start to tune into this support from the universe. I have everything I need. And so just reminding yourself that as you're taking a deeper breath, or maybe that's the segue to allow the deeper breath, have to see if the mind or the body, which one wants to come first, sort of create that possibility. Um, but when you pair that, anytime you feel stressed, you automatically have a default of what to do because sometimes we get so stressed and we don't know what to do and then we just sit and spin. So I
yeah.
think it's really important to have that thing that you know is there for you. You automatically can create that practice and it regulates so many things while you're doing it. To me, that can reset so many systems and set you up for success, because it's hard to access sometimes when your nervous system is really dysregulated. We
Mhm.
just feel like frozen. So this helps to thaw a little bit.
Yeah, I just like felt instantly like kind of this relief wash over me and then a little bit of joy there, right? So I
I
feel
love
like
that.
that's something I will share with other people. Like, okay, just take a deep breath and say this to yourself, right? And
Yeah.
maybe, because I think sometimes the more that we can share these things with other people around us, the more we create that space that we want to be in as well, right?
Yeah, and I think the main thing is finding what really the words that resonate or the mantra that really resonates with each person that's so individualized. And so you can use that one or something that fits more for you. And also to remember it doesn't have to be complicated because we always
Right.
believe it's got to be so hard, life feels so hard, it's got to be hard, and it really doesn't. And when we can remember life is supposed to be simple, the universe works through simple terms,
Mm-hmm.
and we've got this. We've got this all day long, and we literally come here with all the tools we need. We already have them. So we just need to remember that and just use them. And
Exactly.
and that's okay. Then we can be okay.
Just recently, my mother, she's older, and I, when she calls me because she gets into trauma every now and then, when she would call me, I'd find that I was trying to say to her, trying to solve the reason why she was upset with her, to calm down sort of thing. And this last little while, what I've been doing is saying to her when she phones me and I can hear her breathing, she's anxious, she's doing the old, anxious thing. And I'll say to her, it might help if it takes you a deep breath. And I don't know if I can do that. Well, let's try.
Yeah.
And I find the last few times I've been talking to her, I've been doing that with her, and then she forgets what she wanted to talk to me about, like complain about. The trauma's now subsided and it's much better. So what you're saying is so true,
Mhm.
because it's really working, and I like that.
Good. I love that. And I think that when we breathe and we come back into it's like there's something in the body that happens when we breathe that says we're okay. And when you come from a place of being okay, any problem is much more solvable. As opposed to when we're anxious, we're feeling like we're incapable in all the things, but it's like just breathe and then approach it again. And it's like, oh, all day long I've got that. It's so easy to see, you know? So I love that you've been practicing that and seeing her and helping her in that way too, because I think we all just need reminders right now from loved ones. It's like, we're okay. Just breathe.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I
Well,
think you've just
sorry.
compassion. That's good.
I
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
think I think I've been trying to just with what you're saying. I it's that kiss thing, right? Keep it simple, sister.
Right.
I just gonna change it a little bit because I didn't like the way it used to be. So
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
so I'm gonna just say, keep it simple, sister, in my head, right? To remind
Yeah.
myself that, if you just take the breath and, think these affirmations that align with you, listening to our bodies
Yeah.
in all the time, really, it's
Yes.
gonna direct us to where we want to be and where we don't want to be.
Exactly. And all it is listening.
Yeah.
Attending to the need. Do I need to breathe? Yes. Do I need to go to that party? No. Do I? It's literally just listening and responding. If you really want to break it down, which is yeah. And think about how it's like, and then you can approach life and all your days already feeling so capable because you know that anything that comes your way, you just tune in, listen, respond, and keep moving forward. You don't have to sit and spin in all this energy and figuring things out and strategizing and pacifying. It's like, whew, that's a lot. So just respond and keep moving. And that leaves so much space for us as people to figure out who we are, what brings us joy, what we want to do. And the more we do that, the more that helps the collective field also do that. So for those people pleasers out there, and you think, I can't stop people pleasing, that's one act in a small bubble of helping that person when they think that they can't do it. But when you back off and you let them do it, they become empowered. They learn how capable they are. And by you tending to your own needs, that ripples out into the collective far beyond whatever we can imagine. And the
Yeah.
more we hold that frequency of self-care, love, compassion, it automatically invites other people to do the same. And that's what changes the collective energy. It's
I
not
love
selfish. It's
it.
amazing, beautiful energy that we're putting out into the universe.
It
I
is beautiful.
It is
Yeah.
very beautiful. Yeah, you've given so many tips and tricks and just some really simple thing, I think, for people to do, especially, this time of year and even moving forward. And, like you said, this year is the one of transformation and shedding things and, being emotional and maybe just, leaning into those if you are feeling emotional or you are feeling, instead of trying to fix it, just leaning into it a little bit because next year is a year of new opportunities. So, you
For
know,
sure.
what
Yeah,
fabulous things.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, next year's the fire horse energy. And so I heard this, which fire to me symbolizes just burn and everything. You can't recover from that. It's done. It's really done. But someone said the horse energy, where the year is going to go a lot faster, the energy is going to feel like it's moving a lot faster, but horses carry things. And I thought, oh, that feels good. So we might be moving faster, but we're supported through it in whole new ways. So I really liked that part of things
Yes.
because I feel like we all could, use a little help and have more support around us. And also, we're starting a whole brand new 9-year cycle within 2026. So think about this too. Anything that you have been managing for the past 9 years, if you don't want to bring that forward with you into the next 9-year cycle, let's just drop that off, you know? And even if you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's December 12th and I don't have that much time, how am I going to drop all this stuff off? Write a list of everything and safely burn it. And just put to universe, this is what I'm releasing, and claiming that for yourself now. And it will unfold in the perfect timing that it's meant to, but at least having that awareness of what you're letting go is everything to get there.
Yeah.
I love that. I think I think that's an important message. So thank you for talking about that because yeah, that's what we've heard too is that it's like new opportunities are going to come in a quick way, but I love your version of you're going to have that help around you to help carry you, rather it's, your family and loved ones or just the universe itself. That's a beautiful, beautiful message. So you
Yeah.
tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, my website, jeanatman.com, and I'm no longer at this point offering private work, but I'm doing more speaking engagements and helping to uplift people through awareness and consciousness and different group activities, things like that. But yeah, they can certainly find me there, and there's a lot of previous podcasts that I was on if they want to hear more about different insights or ideas or, whatever that is. But yeah, they can certainly look me up there.
Perfect. And so what's new for you? What are you bringing into 2026 and leaving behind in 2025?
Oh, how much time have you got?
A big question.
Yeah, this year has really been a lot of things. I really was I came in here with a lot of contrast and really recognizing my lens that I was seeing it through and coming into a place now where I really am holding so much more compassion for everything that I've been through. I was able to see it, other people through compassion and the soul contracts and the reasons why. But I was recognizing that I didn't allow myself to really feel through a lot of the old stuff. Um, and I see things energetically and from an observer's perspective, but I didn't allow myself to really feel the embodied sensations of feelings. So I've been just offering myself so much more grace for everything that I had survived through and holding a lot more compassion and dropping off a lot of that backstory that kind of helped or kept me locked in a victim mentality. Even though I understood the why, I was holding it in my system. So I've been really dropping it off in my cells lately. So it's really been a lot of freedom and liberation I've been feeling from it.
That's
How about you,
Nice.
ladies?
Mom?
For me? Oh
Yeah.
boy. Same. I have lots of things that I'm dropping off, but I also keep reminding myself, okay, just because you didn't deliver that in this year doesn't mean you still can't do it. Okay, as long as it's on your list of things to do. And so that's on I still have some things to do on that list to let go. And so I can make the newness come in the year of 2026. So yeah, I have a lot to do, lots of homework, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and
That's
mine is
great.
a little similar to yours in the way that I'm trying to give myself a little bit of grace and trying to, forgive myself actually for
Yeah.
things that I have done in life, rather they were perfect or imperfect, knowing that I showed up as who I was in that particular moment
Mm,
with love in my heart, right? Like I don't think I've ever really done anything without that love in my heart to some degree. And so just
Same.
giving myself that little bit of grace and forgiveness
Yeah.
to tell myself a different story than the story I've been telling myself. So that's something that I am really kind of leaving that stuff in the past so that I can open up new stuff in the new year.
I
Good
love
way of
that.
putting it. You do.
What's that?
Good way of putting it.
Yes, yes. And I think when we can change the narrative of how we see things, we open up to a whole new level of opportunities. And so, that feels really, really powerful.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
If there was a last thing that you wanted to share with everybody before we wind up our live, what would you really want to make sure that people heard from either from this interview or something in addition to it that you really think people need to hear right now?
I would say, kind of in the same vein that we've been speaking, is really just being super gentle with ourselves, especially now, where, we can get really hard on ourselves when we're trying to do so many things at once. And like you said so beautifully, just really focusing on being gentle, having that compassion for self, the forgiveness of the humanness, and seeing through that lens, I think is just so important right now because we our sense of authenticity is coming on board like I've never seen it before. And part of dropping off who we thought we were was holding judgment against ourselves in particular. And when we can recognize when we're being critical or judgmental of ourselves and choose forgiveness or compassion instead, it's a game changer. So I think
Yeah.
just holding that in your heart space with intention is so powerful right now.
Love that. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming back on with us again because we both really, when we talked about doing this live and you suggested this, we both were, yes, everybody needs to hear this right now, especially this time of the year, especially with us, stopping the 9-year lunar cycle and heading into the new one, and just as an everyday, how do we handle overwhelm and exhaustion and make those shifts in our life? So thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
you
you
bet.
guys so much. I always really enjoy being with you both, so I
Thank,
appreciate the invitation.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And
You
everybody
too.
else, we will see you on the next one.
We will.